They knew something was wrong as soon as they saw the dog running toward them. But before we start, make sure to subscribe if you haven't and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. When the kids were trick-or-treating, the pit bull was with them, but now Alyssa, Caitlin, and Travis's daughter had not returned. They noticed something in the mouth of the panting dog. Alyssa loved Halloween. The costumes her mother made for her every year were a big deal to her. She loved going trick-or-treating most of all. In order to collect as much candy as possible, Alyssa and other neighborhood kids her age would visit as many houses as possible. It was an unknown fate that would unfold on that day for Caitlin. Travis and Caitlin Hansen wished their daughter a safe trip and gave her her bag to collect candy. There were already kids waiting for her in the neighborhood. As Caitlin and Travis handed out candy on their porch after a few hours, they began to worry about their daughter. She should have already returned from trick-or-treating. When Caitlin searched the group, she couldn't find her daughter. "Where is Alyssa?" she asked the other kids. However, none of them could answer Caitlin's question. Despite searching through the neighborhood, Caitlin and Travis could not find their daughter. Caitlin began to cry. Their desperation filled the streets as they cried out for her in panic. As soon as neighbors heard the commotion, they gathered around and helped find Alyssa. Would they be able to find her? Caitlin fell to the ground when Travis and all the other fathers returned without Alyssa. Despite the fact that she was only 7 years old, they believed it was safe for the kids to go trick-or-treating alone in the neighborhood. However, it was their biggest mistake to date. They knew something was wrong when the neighbor's dog ran toward them. While trick-or-treating, they had been accompanied by their pit bull. Suddenly, he stopped directly in front of the Hansens. They noticed something in the mouth of the panting dog. Travis grabbed something from the dog's mouth, and he realized what it was. Caitlin broke down even further. The pit bull had Alyssa's shoe in its mouth. The Hansens fell into each other's arms. There was no consoling Caitlin. Terrible thoughts were invading her mind. It was then that one neighbor suggested they call the police. As the police arrived, a sense of urgency permeated the neighborhood. Officers took statements from the Hansens and the children who had been with Alyssa. A search party was quickly organized, comprised of neighbors, police officers, and even a few local volunteers. The pit bull, whose name was Max, took the lead as the group ventured deeper into the woods. His keen senses and familiarity with the terrain made him an invaluable asset in the search. As the night wore on, despair began to set in. It was then that Max's behavior changed. He started barking loudly, his hackles raised, and led them to a secluded part of the woods. There, under a canopy of twisted trees and fallen leaves, they found a torn piece of Alyssa's witch costume. Panic and dread surged through Caitlin's veins. Max's barking grew more frantic as he pawed at the ground, unearthing another piece of the torn costume. Tears welled up in Caitlin's eyes as she realized that Max had led them to a grim discovery. Alyssa's witch's hat was lying on the ground. The police immediately secured the area as a forensics team began their work. Caitlin couldn't stop blaming herself, wondering if she could have done something differently to protect Alyssa. Despite the find, Max's determination didn't waver. He continued to sniff the ground as if urging the team to keep searching. It was as though he knew something that the others didn't. But it got later, and later into the night. The lead detective announced that they would have to call off the search for the night, as mist began to envelop the wooded area. "How can you leave my child here overnight?" Morning dawned with a thick layer of fog still clinging to the woods. The Hansens rushed back to the search area, their hearts heavy with anticipation. As they approached, they found the search team already assembled, ready to resume their efforts. Max, the determined pit bull, led the way once more, his nose to the ground, following a scent only he could discern. Suddenly, as they ventured deeper into the woods, a faint cry reached their ears. It was Alyssa's voice calling out for help. The search party's pace quickened, and Max's barks grew louder and more excited. They followed the sound of her cries, crashing through the underbrush, hearts pounding with newfound hope. And then, there she was, a disheveled and frightened Alyssa huddled in a hole. She was trembling with cold and fear, but when she saw her parents, a radiant smile broke through her tear-streaked face. The search team quickly jumped into action, lifting Alyssa out of the hole. Caitlin and Travis rushed to their daughter, embracing her tightly as if they would never let her go. Max, too, joined the joyful reunion, licking Alyssa's face as if to assure her that everything would be all right. Alyssa recounted her harrowing experience. She had fallen through a hidden hole in the ground while chasing after her friends. The fall had left her disoriented, and she sat there hoping someone would eventually find her. It was Max who had kept her company throughout the long, terrifying night. His loyalty had provided her with a lifeline of hope. Alyssa's survival story was a testament to her resilience and the unwavering bond between humans and their faithful companions. The entire neighborhood celebrated Alyssa's safe return, and Max was hailed as a hero. Caitlin and Travis couldn't express their gratitude enough to their neighbors Pitbull and the community that had come together in their darkest hour. The Hansons had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of vigilance and safety during Halloween. But they had also discovered the immense power of love, hope, and the indomitable spirit of a determined dog. The Hansons returned home with Alyssa, holding her close, savoring the warmth and safety of their family once again. It was a day they would never forget, a day that had taken them to the brink of despair only to bring them back into the embrace of happiness. As the weeks passed, Max became a local celebrity, with his story featured on the news and in newspapers. The neighborhood showered him with treats and belly rubs, acknowledging him as the hero that he was. Halloween came around again the following year, and Alyssa donned a new costume. This time she chose to be a superhero, a fitting tribute to the brave Pitbull who had been her protector. Max stood proudly by her side as they ventured out for another night of trick-or-treating, a testament to the enduring power of love and loyalty. They didn't want a repeat of what happened the previous year. They were lucky that Alyssa was found, and they hoped that something like that would never happen again. The Hansons had learned that sometimes heroes come in unexpected forms, and that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope to guide them home. And as they walked the moonlit streets on that Halloween night, they held each other close, grateful for the miracle of Max and the love that had brought their family back together.